Hey guys, Jengar here. We've got another air blog, dev blog, and we are looking at the F-100D Super Sabre. Looking very sharp, I have to say. The model looks quite nice. The American F-100D Super Sabre supersonic turbo jet fighter was developed as a fighter bomber. So in addition to breathtaking speeds, it also features a rich assortment of suspended weaponry. It's arguably the best American aircraft in the game. So it's an American fighter for assault and bombing strikes against ground target. It features unsurpassed speed, 20mm guns with a high rate of fire, and a massive arsenal of guided and unguided weapons. So the Americans' first Tier 6 plane is not a pure fighter, it is a ground attacker first and a fighter second. And we all know what that means in the jet age. They're often not quite as competitive against fighters as fighters are. So let's hope that they don't get stomped into the ground by the competition. But anyway, let's see what the history of this plane is. By the mid-50s, jet aircraft have become robust machines which had obtained sufficient combat experience for the next step in the fundamentally new age, the era of supersonic speed. Supersonic fighters were developed by both of the main opposing nations in the Cold War. In parallel with the development of the MiG-19 in the USSR, the American aircraft designers were putting the finishing touches on their own design for a supersonic fighter. The F-100 Super Sabre entered serial production somewhat later than its Soviet counterpart, but it needed just as many improvements and upgrades. The F-100's main problems were its high failure rate and shortcomings of its control systems. In addition, a fighter bomber version was also developed based upon the Super Sabre, the F-100D, which is the version, of course, which we will have in game, which really is a dedicated fighter bomber and not a dedicated fighter. So which features an increased vertical and horizontal fin area and expanded capabilities with regard to suspended weaponry. In the end, it was the D version that became the most widespread modification of the single-seat Super Sabres, thanks to its improved control and excellent combat capabilities as either a fighter bomber or a pure fighter. In terms of suspended weaponry, the F-100D was able to carry over 20 extremely varied weapon loadouts, from traditional high explosive bombs and rockets to air-to-air missiles, rockets and nuclear bombs. Again, the model looks quite fine. In War Thunder, the F-100D Super Sabre will be the first supersonic fighter of rank 6 in the American Air Force research tree. Its very high speed when flying horizontally and excellent climb rate by no means suggests that the F-100D can only fly straight. However, its enhanced controls and increased fin area make this aircraft quite obedient and pleasant to fly. So it's a stable aircraft probably that feels quite nice on the controls. I have to say I did not fly this plane yet. There is a user mission of this plane in game, but I usually wait for things like this to come available on the dev server, and we'll check it out there. That first dev server should be pretty quick, probably. The fantastic flying ability of this new top aircraft is supported by excellent weaponry, and we'll have to see if this plane indeed has fantastic flying ability compared to the MiG-19, for example, and the Javelin, and see how that will actually turn out, as the MiG-19 is probably going to be a version that is a pure fighter and not a ground attacker, and how that's going to compete to this model, which is basically mainly a ground attacker, we'll have to see. This plane has 4 high-speed 20mm M39A1s with 200 rounds per gun. It's in the nose section, so it's concentrated firepower. This is an upgraded version of the weapons that were known on the F2s. Up till now, the best American jet fighter. Its excellent accuracy, low recoil and extremely high rate of fire make this the best aircraft gun in its class. Just keep an eye out on your ammo, yes, because you do run out of that quite quickly. The F-100D suspended armament is another story. In game we've selected 10 loadouts, so from the historical 20 they selected 10, made up of 500, 750 and 1000 pound high explosive bombs, unguided Hydra 70 rockets, guided AGM-12 bullpups, and something entirely new to the game, guided air-to-air AIM-9B sidewinders. These infrared guided missiles will follow the target's thermal signature, which allows pilots to engage and destroy any airborne target that produces enough heat in flight to be targeted. In practice, this means that a War Thunder pilot can target any jet aircraft, helicopter with a turboshaft engine and certain piston engine models with a sidewinder and be pretty confident about the results. Now let's hope you do get a chance to do something evasive in a regular sense, and that the game mechanics that they invent for that will be sufficient for skill to show in this aircraft, because it would be a little bit of a shame if you come into view of an aircraft first and you fire the first rocket that you always win that encounter. That should not be the case, and it should be fun, of course, but it also should be balanced, so let's hope that they implement that correctly. We'll hopefully be able to see that pretty quickly on the dev server. For the rest, these models of these new aircraft look absolutely shiny and definitely very cool. The F-100D Sabre will be available to all War Thunder players at rank 6 in the American Aircraft Research Tree as soon as our huge 1.85 supersonic update launches. Welcome to the supersonic era. Well, looking forward to it, definitely. But for me, again, this should only be the start of major changes within air, and you know, this will be quite a new thing and it should be interesting, but the gameplay before that is still the regular same old gameplay that we've had for 5 years, so let's hope they will also take a look at that after implementing this. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.